Welcome back to more machine polisher geekiness. Welcome to the channel. If this is the first time you come to the channel, hi, I'm James. This is my little Detailing Yoda channel where I try and help you with your detailing, your machine polishing, your detailing business if you have one, using my 11 years of experience in the trade and my I'm a detailing trainer for repairs and stuff, so just try and use all of that knowledge, all the stuff I've picked up. I don't know everything, but I know what's helped me and what works for me, so I try and share that on this channel. So if you're new here and you like this stuff, please consider giving me a subscribe. Quite a small channel at the moment, so I'd like to boost that up. If you hit a like on the video and a subscribe, it helps me. YouTube shows my stuff to more people and more people will get value from it. So if you get some value from it, please click the like and the share and then maybe leave a comment on some other stuff you'd like to see and YouTube will show it to some more people then. Really appreciate that if you've done it already. Lots of new subscribers, so hello to you guys and thank you ever so much for your subscriptions. So in this video, it's a part 2 to the previous video, which I'll put a little ding up in the top right hand corner for you if you haven't seen that video. So this is a part 2 where, having introduced this crazy graph of the polishing cycle, what I will do is try and run through how that can help you in everyday machine polishing. And this is pretty much universal across all machine types, so whether you're using a DA or a forced rotation machine or you're a rotary user, whether you're using a foam pad or a microfiber or a wool or whoever or whatever your preferred abrasive type is, this will help you. So whoever you are, whatever machine you're using, I really think this stuff will really help you. You know, when you get that tricky car in, you have that tricky paint, you're, frying your brain about something, or you just want to increase your efficiency a bit, get faster at machining, all of that stuff. It all comes from this, I believe. Let me know. What do you think? What other stuff don't I know? Let me know. So, by the way, I've started an Instagram channel page, that's the one, as well. Try and post quite regularly on that, just with positivity, posting up stuff I think will help you, posting up sort of motivational stuff, business stuff. Business stuff is a big thing I want to cover in this, hourly rates, how much do I charge for a detail, how much should you charge for a detail. That topic is massive, so again, please let me know if that's something you're keen for me to cover. So really quickly, let's not, I know a lot of people talk too much, so I'm going to try and not do that and get into the meat of what we've got here. So, quick recap. So what we've got here is our 0 point and we have time along here. So this is the point at which you're just about to pull the trigger on your machine polisher. And as we travel along here, all the way to the end point, the end is the point at which you release the trigger on the machine polisher. Obviously up here we've got percentage of quite a few different variables. The principal variables really are the sort of main two things we've got going on is as we machine polish, we've got the amount of lubrication in our compound is decreasing, so it dries out because it's principally water, so it evaporates. The other thing we've got going on is the temperature rises. Pretty much. Temperature does level off a bit after a while if you go to the ultimate end point, but basically, those two things don't help each other, do they? The less water there is, the more stuff evaporates, the more temperature we're going to see. The more temperature we see, the more the water evaporates. It becomes this sort of ever-decreasing circle. And the other thing that's really crucial with machine polishing is, of course, we've got residue. So the longer we polish, the more residue we've got, the more paint, because that's what we're doing. We're removing paint. That's what polishing is. So the longer we go on, the more paint we've got. And also, don't forget, so this is all for a set pad and polish. Obviously, we can increase our aggressiveness, we can change things by changing the pad and polish. But just remember, the more aggressive that pad and polish is, the more residue we're removing, so the faster we will move to the sort of right-hand side of this graph. So when we plot all of those things on a graph, what we're left with is this optimum point where if we polish beyond that optimum point, as I say on my training courses, if you've been on one, you'll know only bad things happen. As detailers, as machine polishers, we naturally think, and I do it all the time, you think, I'm just going to pull the trigger and keep polishing, because the longer I keep the machine on the paint and the longer I keep the trigger pulled, the shinier the car's going to be, surely. Well, it doesn't work like that. Have a think about it, because the longer you keep the trigger pulled, the more residue you've got, the more heat you've got, and the less lubrication you've got. So after a certain point, actually the finish gets worse. So we've got this optimum time. I've got 45 seconds to a minute there. That is the Rupes recommended sort of time for their pads, their polishes, and a DA. If you're on any other movement type, or if you're on the newer Rupes polishes, which are just about to be sold or just about to come out or have yet to come out, they're slightly oilier, you can change your cycle time. They're a lot more flexible now. So that was the older recommendation. I suspect that'll become outdated, but honestly, I think that's a pretty good recommendation as something to aim for. And then either side of that, we've got sort of long cycling and short cycling. So the meat of the video now. What does that mean for me? I've got a little list over there, that's why I keep looking. So, what does that mean for me? Well, the first point I want to make to you guys, and it's one of my firm beliefs, is that you are the difference. So your technique with your machine polisher, how much you address this stuff, how much you address the 5 machine polishing variables, so machine speed, arm speed, pad angle, pressure, and working area, how you vary those and everything is much, much, much more important than what pad or polish you've got. You should know what will work for you and your system. The manufacturers want us to believe in magic. The latest polish is the be-all and end-all. The latest pad is the be-all and end-all. They've got to say that. They're trying to sell you stuff. The latest stuff is very good. Don't get me wrong. The latest abrasives are very, very good. But a good skilled detailer, and you guys are good skilled detailers, should be charging well for your skilled time. Mechanics and the Porsche dealerships charge £200 an hour for a guy with a spanner. So you're as skilled as those guys, so it's not just how good a job you do is just as much down to your skill as it is down to what polish you're using or what pad you're using or what compound you're using. Let me just check you're still recording. You are? Brilliant. Great. So just remember that. I firmly believe that the sort of, the power is in our hands. It's not the stuff, it's not the stuff we use. The ceramic coating performance, yes, there are better performing and worse performing ceramic coatings, but as detailers, it is a skill, it is an art. It's a skill that we pick up over a long time. Don't get me talking about 10,000 hour theory. Maybe that's for another video. But anyway, the number one thing I hear detailers talking about is, oh, I don't like that compound, it's dusty. Oh, that pad gets really dusty. That sort of thing. I've heard that a lot. Always hear that sort of comment. And that's the first one I want to pick up on, because that is really a really good indicator that you're over on this right hand side, you're past this ultimate point. Because dust is obviously the ultimate indicator that all this lubrication has gone. So we get to what's called the emulsion point with a compound. So that's the point at which a compound breaks down into its constituent parts. Can't claim that theory is my own. That comes direct from Jason Rose. You should know who Jason Rose is. Go and look him up. That is a concept that is very key to Jason and his work, and I'm fully on board with it. So once you get past this point, what happens is the compound starts to break down. There's no longer enough liquid there to keep the abrasives together. And of course, we've got the residue there as well. Residue starts to clump together, abrasives start to clump together, and obviously that can cause dust. So the dust, if you get dust when you polish, it's the first sign that you're over this side of the chart. And the first thing to try to bring that down is to reduce your cycle time. Different compounds will dust at different rates because, and the polishing compound manufacturers are naughty about this, they don't often tell you what abrasive types are in there, and they don't often tell you what movement type they've built the abrasive for. So obviously a rotary puts a lot of heat and is a lot more aggressive than a DA. So a rotary will naturally go to this half of this graph much more quickly than a DA. So we have to use more compound. That's another little indicator. How much compound are we using? A rotary will go much more this way. So you'll notice, Rupes do a rotary compound and a DA compound. The reason for that is the demands from a rotary polisher are very, very different to the demands for a DA polisher. DA polisher needs help getting cut and needs help with aggression, whereas almost a rotary is the other way. It doesn't need any help with aggression, and we need to keep the temperature down. So a rotary compound is much more oily, you'll notice. So dusting, that is a key factor. That'll help you. The other one is when a machine starts jumping around. That could often be due to your pad being really dirty, but also, again, you're on this right-hand side. You've got a lot of heat. You've lost your lubrication. How many times have you been going along on it and all of a sudden the thing starts pulling you around and behaving awfully? Again, first thing to try on that is reduce your cycle time. The other one that's key is if you're getting a DA haze, or if you're hologramming on a rotary is really bad, or even on you forced rotation guys, the forced rotation machine, when you've got a big enough mismatch between the aggressiveness of the pad and polish and of the hardness of the paint, any machine will leave a mark. The forced rotation mark is really weird. So anytime you're getting a more severe machine-induced mark, again, that's because we've gone to this right-hand side and it's normally due to residue build-up. Again, a lot of residue build-up. You're now polishing paint with paint residue as well as with the abrasives that are in the compound. And those things don't work well together to give us a sharp finish. They might remove the defects, but they will put in machine marks. So a DA haze or a rotary mark, those sorts of things. So those are all indicators we're going too long, which is a natural tendency for lots of people. I've seen it many times when we're training. The first thing people tend to do is go for sort of 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. And I would always say, pull that back, guys. Most abrasives, whether they are diminishing or non-diminishing, are done by 1.5 minutes, absolute tops. So the other thing, I think that neatly brings me on really to the last point I want to make on this. Really where this sort of ultimate point is, whether you can short cycle or whether you can long cycle, will depend a lot on the abrasives you use. All of the Rupes compounds are principally non-diminishing abrasives. So that is to say, a non-diminishing abrasive means really the abrasive never changes its aggressiveness or its size. Obviously a diminishing abrasive, which you old school guys or the guys that have been polishing for a long time, or the rotary guys will be more familiar with, does change over time. Much more suitable to rotary polishing because it gives us cut and it gives us a finishing ability. A lot of one-step polishing compounds are diminishing abrasives because they're designed to give an initial cut, and then the big rocks break down to small pebbles and they give us a good finish. A diminishing abrasive will tend to want to cycle a little bit longer, and if you short cycle a diminishing abrasive, what will happen is you'll get more machine-induced marks. With a non-diminishing abrasive, by the way, the Geon compounds I'm aware of have a lot of diminishing abrasives in. I actually really like the Geon compounds. I had a really good chat with Eve, who is the Geon global trainer. Amazing guy, incredibly talented detailer, really knows his stuff. And a through and through rotary polisher, so a lot of the Geon polishes are built for that and they get an amazing finish with rotary. All the Rupes stuff, Rupes have been built on the Bigfoot system, which originally was just DAs. Their stuff is amazing for DAs, but it's all built for this 45-second to 1 minute cycle time, or shorter, even shorter. If you've got a crazy old single stage paint that is soaking the liquid up, then you can short cycle that and you can really get that cycle time down to like 30 seconds. It's super short. So you know, I'm going to leave that there really. That was quite a sort of brain download, but I wanted to introduce this a bit more and let it show you just really, you know, the main point I want to get through is this point here, this optimum point, where once we go beyond that, your finish will only reduce and you're much, much better releasing the trigger, buffing the residue off and starting again, or introducing some water, doing some SWA. That's what that does. All compounds to a greater or lesser degree have water in them, and they will bring you, and if you get to this point on here and you introduce water, that could bring you back to here. It's only recommended normally that you do half of your cycle time again to come back up to this optimum point, but again, that can help a lot. It can increase the amount of cut you get, but it can also give you a better finish, which is a crazy set of things to think about. So I hope that's really helped you. If it has, don't forget to click on the like and the subscribe at the bottom. Thing to do now, if you haven't, is check out part 1 again. And also go and please have a look at some of the other videos on the channel where I talk much more about the 5 variables. For you advanced DA guys, there's videos out there. I'm populating this stuff all the time. So if there is another video you want me to do, please put it down in the comments, whether you want me to cover the detailing business or a certain movement type or a pad type. I think we need to do some stuff on foam pads versus wall pads versus microfiber pads, because they're quite different and they have quite different cleaning requirements and that sort of stuff. So yeah, please go and check out one of those videos, hit the like and the subscribe button, share it to your friends who love this stuff too. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next video. Cheers guys.